What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. I apologize for the lighting. Lighting is a little bit dark, but because, yeah, technical difficulties. But nonetheless, my name is Chris Drummond. I am a sports reporter based out of here in Minnesota, freelance sports reporter, I should say. I'm also a salesman and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why, of why they do what they do, and who they are outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. Her name is Megan Taros. She is a freelance reporter herself, does freelance reporting for the state's newsroom, but she's also done reporting in San Francisco. She's done reporting in New York, and now she's located in Santa Fe. So we're going to find out about Megan's why she does what she does, and we are going to get to know her a little bit. So without any further ado, I introduce to you the wonderful and talented Megan.
Hi,
Hi, Megan. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
A little frustrated, but that's okay. That's all right. I'm so happy I'm on here with you. You look absolutely wonderful today. Just wanted to say
Thank
that.
thank you.
You're very welcome. I want to say again, thank you for coming on to my podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder. I want to ask you, how's your week going so far?
It's been going good. Dodgers lost last night, so that wasn't great, but husband's a Yankees fan, so he's happy today, so we'll see what happens after tonight.
Well, I'm glad I'm with your husband 110%. No question about it. So yes, I cannot stand the Dodgers. I'm sorry, Megan, I can't. But I'm a Padres fan. That's why, and I grew up in San Diego,
Oh,
so that's
okay.
why. That's why.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm rooting for the Yankees to get to the World Series for sure. Cause my uncle is a New York Yankees fan, so I'm hoping that happens for sure. I want to reiterate to you real quickly why I wanted you on here. I know that you are a freelance reporter right now for the state's newsroom, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
which is based out of there in Santa Fe, New Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. But I also know that you have experience in San Francisco and New York doing the same job as far as reporting as well. So it was a no-brainer to have you on here. I'm a reporter based out of Minnesota here, but I also started in Atlanta when I started reporting first. So I just love talking to different reporters and listening to their stories and who they are and what they do. So, as I always do, with the first question that I have with every guest I have on my show, it is, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models, inspirations growing up? Why do you choose a career in journalism? What made you want to do that?
Well, I always knew I wanted to do something that involved people, working with people, helping people out, but I was also a writer. And I kind of, in high school in like ninth grade, I was a little lost on how to do both. I guess I just didn't know what my options were. And my English teacher, who I still keep in touch with, um,
Okay.
Miss Sampson, uh, was she was really good at helping us figure out what we wanted to do. A lot of people looked to her for advice. So I told her what I was thinking, and she happened to be the newspaper advisor for that year. So she was into journalism, and she said, "Well, why don't you be a journalist? You can do all that stuff." And it
Sure.
just clicked ever since then, and I've been chasing it ever since.
I love that. I really do. I want to ask you this next question, as I normally do with all my guests on here. You went to San Francisco State University, right?
Mhm.
So I want to know, were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to San Francisco State University?
Yeah, I looked for a couple. I was still kind of interested in staying in California at the time, so I applied to Chico. I applied to Fullerton. All the journalism schools. But I think San Francisco State had a really strong program, and I really just, I got into all my choice schools, but it was just something like I wanted to stay in a city. But I'd also like lived in LA my whole life at that point, so Fullerton didn't really seem like a new experience to me. So I
Right.
picked San Francisco.
I love that. Now, did you always know what genre you wanted to write for in journalism? For me, it was sports. I knew I love sports, entertainment as a second, but I knew I loved sports. What genre did you know you wanted to write for?
Early on in my career, I really just liked doing breaking news. I liked being on the ground. I liked always being active. But after I started learning about a lot of issues, because, sometimes with breaking news, there's a series of events that you're following, and it
Without
really
question.
made me want to follow certain themes. So I started getting into like Latino affairs, race and equity after I graduated from my master's program. So that's really when I kind of started getting more focused on those issues.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, you did go to Columbia University for that to get your master's program.
That's right.
Absolutely, which is awesome. That's one of the top schools in the nation, especially being in New York. No question. I love that. I'm going to ask you some favorite questions, Megan, and you just give me the 411 based upon these questions that I'm about to ask you. Are you with me?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Oh, I think enchiladas probably have to be the one. That's my go-to for anytime I don't know what to do, just enchilada stuff, blend up some chiles, grate up some
Mm,
cheese. Yeah.
You got my mouth watering over here, girl. I love that. I love enchiladas, no question. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
I really I was surprised, even though I really like this artist, his name's Kevin Morby. He's kind of like a smaller, mid known indie guy. I went to his
Sure.
concert in Williamsburg, and yeah, he brought all out all these like choir singers and stuff like that. It was really cool.
Okay, Kevin Morby. I'm gonna have to look him up because I'm not familiar with his music. So
Yeah, cool.
definitely, okay, I like that. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Usually when I get the money, I usually go to Mexico. So, I've actually, as much as I've been on airplanes and stuff, I've mostly been to Mexico. So, and I think even if I did go more places, like that's where half my family is. So, always got to go see my family.
Yeah, Cabo San Lucas is one of my favorite places I've ever traveled to. Obviously, I lived next to Tijuana most of my child life for sure. So I'm very familiar with Mexico. Love Mexico to death, no question about it. So I'm with you on that. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to attend in person? Can be the same sport.
It can be the same sport.
Yes.
I think it's got to be hockey for both. I love all sports, but hockey's just so thrilling live, and I think I've been more consistently following hockey the longest, so
Hmm.
gotta be hockey.
Okay. Now, who's your team in hockey?
LA Kings, LA everything,
Okay, I
LA
love that.
everything.
I love that. So at least we can. Are you a Clippers or a Lakers fan?
Lakers.
Okay, good. At least we can agree on that. I'm with you
Yeah.
on that. I'm with you on that. Okay, awesome. Last of the favorites. Favorite restaurant you like to eat at?
Oh man, I think my favorite restaurant ever is probably Cafe Mogador. They got two locations. One's in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and one's in the East
Mm,
Village. And I was just in New York City for a little bit, and I had to go back.
okay, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely going to be in New York around my birthday time, which is
Oh,
February coming up. So I'm definitely
cool.
going to have to check that out. I'll have to hit you up and let me know what the spots of the names is and where to go to for sure.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Mine would be Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Oh, that's
I love
awesome.
that spot. Love
Yeah.
that spot. Yeah, very, very, very familiar with that spot for sure. Being out in California, being a native of there. So I want to transition and talk to you about what you do on your day-to-day basis. Now we're both freelance reporters,
Mhm,
so I have a full-time job on the side, right?
mhm.
But I love to freelance because I cover high school, I cover college, and I cover pros. So I get assignments at times, calls from people, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? So my day is never the same, but I love that because I get more control over things I want to do. Talk to me about your day to day and how you go about being a freelance reporter. What kind of things do you write about, and how often are you getting assignments?
Yeah, so I also have a full-time job. I got it pretty recently. I was doing freelance all over the place for a while, but it was kind of too hard just because, it varies the kinds of people that you work with, and
Or
I kind of want to cut the risk of like not getting paid on time and that sort of thing. That's always the risk you take. But
absolutely.
yeah, so I do have a full-time job now, and but I just keep my eye out for education stories. That's mostly what I do. Since I freelance for Source, it is pretty much exclusively, well, actually, it is exclusively state politics reporting and state house reporting. So they're kind of flexible about it. Like it could be a political issue. It doesn't just have to be happening at the Capitol. Um, but I mostly focus on education because here in New Mexico, um, well, our education is pretty bad. It's ranked pretty low. Our child welfare is 50th.
Mm.
And we're in the middle of trying to comply with a lawsuit was called Yazi Martinez. And the Yazi
Wow.
Martinez case ruled that the New Mexico education system was so bad for people of color, poor kids, disabled kids, that it was
Mhm.
actually unconstitutional. That New Mexico was actually breaking the law by how bad education was for a lot of students. And so there's a lot of parameters they have to fill. And obviously, when it comes to government, things happen really slow. And so accountability for that is really crucial. So
Sure.
I tend to follow education issues a lot because I think we're really in a pivotal moment for education here, and there's a lot to write about. And unfortunately, New Mexico, kind of a small state, kind of losing some journalism institutions here. We really need people to keep up with these stories, so people can stay informed.
Absolutely. I mean, wow, I didn't realize how bad education was on the level there in New Mexico. But again, that's what part of our job is, right? To be a voice for the voiceless and to be an advocate of the people and let people know what's going on over there for sure. I wanted to ask you, do you think you'll be working election night?
I'm not sure because then, I've got my full-time job, which also kind of overlaps with politics. So, we'll see who takes precedence there.
I'm sure, yeah, because obviously with election being what less than a month away, probably what
Mhm,
next 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be all hands on deck. Probably
mhm,
that night, it's going to be absolutely crazy. I want to ask you about work life balance, though. You talk
mhm,
about having a full time job, but also being a freelance reporter. You're also a wife
mhm.
as well. You also have friends, and I'm sure that you are love to hang out with them. You seem like a wonderful person to hang out with. How do you balance all of that though, and still keep your mental health intact, and still, keep that work life balance intact as well?
Yeah, it's been a struggle, honestly. Like it hasn't always
Sure.
been all good, So I had a therapist. I've had a therapist for the last few years.
Okay.
Um, I think a lot of work stresses led to me needing to have that. But I'm turning a corner. Me and my therapist just agreed that we only need to meet once a month now. So, I'm obviously doing better. Um, but yeah, it's really tough. And I do encourage journalists like when they're not feeling themselves, when they're having a hard time to like if that's available to them to seek therapy, because I really think sometimes we don't see things as they are because they come, we have our own point of view for how things are. We have our own expectations for ourselves. It's hard to see um what you might need. But lately I've just been really more consistent and persistent about my boundaries and about when I'm not going to look at the phone, when I'm not going to do work, when I'm not available. And I'm just and I'm lucky with my full-time job that they've been a little bit more understanding than folks have been in journalism sometimes, where I could say, hey, I really need to go to this appointment, or hey, I really need to do this and I don't have time because there's too much going on. Like, can I get some time during the week to do this? And so, I mean, it always helps when you've got supporters on your side. So, um, I think things have been a little better now because I have those things. I have therapy in place. I have a supportive work environment. But yeah, a lot of it is self-advocacy. It's kind of sad, I
Absolutely.
think. I think it's kind of sad in journalism that there isn't always support available, and that sometimes everybody gets so lost in it that you have to remember to advocate for yourself. So I think that's really helped me be able to balance everything.
For sure, absolutely. Now, I remember going on Twitter and you had a tweet similar to that. If you
Mhm.
remember, you tweeted out something similar to that. Now, I don't know if you just felt that in your heart that day or that maybe that was just a tough day, but talk about what was the meaning behind that tweet. What, or if you can talk about it, what was going on with that? Because I do feel the same way. I feel like sometimes it's just the support is not there for us
Mhm.
journalists to be able to do what we love to do, but we have to make those tough decisions sometimes to step away from what we love to do. So talk about it.
Yeah, I think I think some of it has to do with just the amount of jobs that we're losing, the less revenue that we have. I think it's kind of created a division between people. Um, who kind of came in maybe too little too late, like I think, people our age kind of did,
Yeah.
came in with like during the recession when things were starting to, newspapers were losing money. And
Right.
but we were willing to work for a little bit less because we love to do it, and that was what was available, so we were trying to be grateful and make do. um, but then we also see that sometimes, there's people who kind of got in at the right time who, maybe they're gonna kind of retire nice and they have a good wage. And, I think everybody is just scared about what's going to happen. And so
Right.
there's a lot of power hoarding. There's a lot of fear that, oh, if this person is successful, they're going to, encroach on my job. I mean, there are people who have been forced to retire for the sake of the newspaper because they didn't want
Absolutely.
to keep paying them. And so I think there's a lot of fear about what's going to happen with our industry, and a lot of people are acting in fear. And so, the opportunities, are closed. It's just like the gate closed in front of us. And you really, now it really depends on who you know, or, if you're lucky to have a supportive environment, if you're lucky to have a newspaper or a nonprofit that has money to go around, it really is, but it's difficult. And I mean, like a lot of people are losing their jobs at the same time now, like we were seeing back during the recession. And I don't think there's enough jobs for everybody. And so I think, I think there's no real incentive to invest in people because, you invest in people and then what if the money runs out? I think that's what a lot of
Right.
people are thinking. So
And
that's
you
tough.
you hit it on the head. I mean, the money is the number one thing that people. Number one. I mean, there's other reasons why too, but it's the number one reason why people leave this industry.
Mhm,
The money.
mhm,
Two is the treatment. I know
mhm.
for me personally, in my situation, I was in a publication where I was the only minority at my
Mhm.
job,
Yep.
which is fine. That's cool. I came to journalism because I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. I wanted to be an advocate. I wanted to write stories that were meaningful.
Mhm.
But sometimes when you get that kind of treatment and you're the only minority there, sometimes people talk to you in a certain way that is very disrespectful, and they don't feel as disrespectful because they don't know any better. So you
Right.
have to try to be like, okay, this is not appropriate. This is not something that I want to be subject to in the long run. And but it goes back to the first thing, as I said, treatment was two. One is money. When you're doing a lot for a company and you're doing stuff and they keep on piling on more work, and more responsibility, that's a wonderful thing that a company wants to do that and be able to trust you with that, but it also has to come with some kind of pay raise as well.
Right.
Because you don't just do that to do that without some kind of incentive down the road. They did not want to do that, and that's fine. It's totally fine. If you don't want to do that, that's your decision. You'll have to slide somebody else up in here though, because I know my worth and I know what I'm about, and you're not going to pay me, for lack of a better term, chump ass change. You're just not going to do so I'm gonna be paid what I feel my worth is. And that's
Mhm.
why freelance, I encourage people to, if you want to do freelance, that's great. I mean, benefit wise, is it gonna be good? No, probably not. With medical health and dental, you probably have to find another job or another source of income. But to keep your craft going and make sure you don't lose it, I think freelance is a great opportunity. It also shows you different things that you can do. Again, I was mainly covering high school, working with the publication. Now I do high school, college, and pros, and
Yeah.
I love to be able to do that. It branches off and do different things as well. Megan, we're gonna take a short break. Okay,
Sure.
so I would say
Okay.
like short break here, and then we're gonna come back because the next question I want to ask you about is advice. So, but first, before I go, what is your last name? How do you pronounce that?
Taros.
Taros. Okay, so I did say it right. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure. Megan Taros here, freelance reporter on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. We're gonna take a short break, and we'll be right back. All right. All right, back here with Megan Taros. Sorry about that. Freelance reporter for the State's Newsroom down in Santa Fe, New Mexico, on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. Previously, we were just talking about mental health and work life balance, and also talking about favorite things, talking about college choices, different things of that nature. But the next thing I wanted to bounce off of Megan was advice. If there was a student that graduated or somebody that's very mature or seasoned like you and I that wanted to come up to you and wanted advice about starting in this particular industry, what kind of advice would you give that individual?
I think it's important to try to get in the door early. I know it's tough because sometimes there are some places that they're not required to pay you if you're an intern. I don't really think that's a good idea to use your talents and not get paid. But there's
Yep.
also, there's ways to find that. A lot of states now require payment for interns. So I think, especially if you're in college and you are looking to get in the door, try to take those opportunities. I think it was a little harder for me when I was first starting because I was worried about being able to focus on school, and I was a little too scared to take those opportunities because I didn't want to flunk out of school. I didn't know how I would do it all. But I think especially as experience becomes more important and new skills and anything you can bring to the table is really important. So I'd say get those opportunities where you can. I mean, maybe you could even freelance on a local level. There are some places that do look for young reporters who maybe can report on their college or something. Um, so those opportunities are out there. So I think don't close the door on yourself and worry too much about like how you're going to do it all. I think things are different than when I was going to school. So, especially if you're younger, there's a lot more opportunities for early career journalists. There's things you can just do in the summer. So I think, yeah, just taking all the opportunities as they come and just looking for them and being diligent.
I love that. I really love that advice. No question about it. I know for me, as I always tell my young kids, I can't believe I say my young kids to these high schoolers now. I'm in my 30s, so
Me
I
too.
have
I'm
been in
about
high
to be
school.
35 on Thursday. So,
There you go. Well, happy early birthday. I told you totally understand where I'm coming from. These
yeah.
kids nowadays, I'm like double their age. So telling them about opportunities as far as journalism go, they always ask me, hey, how is it covering, journalism? I said it's a fun job. It's very fun. It's something that's fulfilling for me, but you also need to know the B side. There's a lot of B side to this, and this is why I do podcasts like this. Is that people only see the A side a lot, right? They see the people on broadcast TV. Oh man, she's beautiful and she's giving us the news, and she has the glamorous life. Or they see journalists that like us that work in publications or for different companies. Man, you got your article printed on a paper or a newspaper or anything, and they think it's glamorous, and they really don't understand fully what it goes on and what entails with that. And I tell them that this is very fulfilling and it is something that I love to do, but you have to do this particular industry for the right reason. There's a lot of industries that you can go into and do and make good money, make great money, for whatever reason it is. But when it comes to journalism, you have to love journalism with your heart,
Yeah.
because you're not going to have a lot of money to start off. You also have to understand that you may not be able to go to every graduation, go to every celebration, party all night long. You're going to miss some holidays with your family as well. Um, but those things are worth it if you're trying to reach a goal, because you know that those things are temporary. They're not going to be forever. And I knew that coming up here to Minnesota because I have no family here in Minnesota at all. I have my dad who's in New York, my mom who's in Georgia. So my family is all spread out in the U.S. But I know that my next move will generate to where it has some kind of immediate family around me, where I'm in a distance where I can drive to, whether
Right.
it's in New York or whether it's in southern USA. So, I just tell people the A and B side, and that's why I like doing this podcast as well, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, this next question has to do with the top four. Okay, now I want you to give me your top four events that you would like to cover. Now, for starters, for me, it's Super Bowl,
Mhm.
NBA Finals, Olympics, and also a World Series. Hopefully, my Padres are in it, but nonetheless, those will be the four that I would love to do. What is
Mhm.
the top four of events you would love to do?
Wow. Oh man, that's such a cool question. I think I would love to do a feature story on Day of the Dead in Mexico. So much history there. There's so much going on. There's so much unknown. I think it's become pretty popular here, but there's
Mhm.
still so much that is yet to be understood. I think by the masses, I guess, if I guess you could say. So
Okay.
that I would love to I was there for Day of the Dead before, and it was incredible, and I'd love to do something surrounding that.
Okay.
I think I would like to cover um, probably a presidential inauguration. I think it would just be cool to be there. I try to, I mean, I am neutral and I try to, be fair for everybody, but I always just I can't help but think it's kind of cool to meet people who are, who have that kind of um job, just because I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe
Yeah.
it's just because I can't imagine having that. And it's also just like we know who our representatives are, but we don't know them, and as a
Sure.
journalist, like you might get to know them a little bit. Um, so that I think I want to what I would like to cover if the Dodgers make the World Series. My husband and I were talking about this. It was, and we have an interesting angle. My husband and I kind of came up with this together, but to talk to like the five like 90-year-olds in Brooklyn who are still Dodgers fans about what
Wow.
they think about that. I think that would be cool. So if that happened, I if this happens this year, I'm going to miss that opportunity probably. Like I don't know, we'll see, but I'm not going to count that out. But
Yeah.
I think I mean, I think that would be cool to just,
That'd be amazing.
yeah. So yeah, I like that idea. I think that would be a fun way to cover the World Series. Um, and then number four, let's see. I think, I think I would like to, I don't know. I think I'd like the opportunity to cover an election in another country. You
Mm.
know, I think I'm not sure which country. I think, I'm open to it because I'm fascinated with the way those systems work and what they cause people to do and the effects of that. So I mean, I think I know maybe second most about Mexico, so that's an option, but I just think I would like the opportunity to go to another place and kind of understand how the electoral system affects that country or especially if it's a particularly influential election. I just would like the opportunity to learn more about election systems because mostly I know about the US and Mexico, and I think, I'd like to buckle down and learn about other countries and their way of their relationship to the electoral system if they even have one. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, I think that would be fun.
I think that would definitely be amazing. I mean, that's definitely a first here on the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. Covering an election in a different country, that would be totally awesome. I was thinking something like maybe like Brazil or
Yeah.
something like off country like that. But even covering one in Mexico, that would be amazing too. No question.
Yeah.
Megan, it's about that time that we do the interactive game of this or that. So what that
Okay.
is we throw two things at you. You get to choose one or the other. Are you with me?
Yeah.
All right,
This
here
sounds
we
like it's
go.
gonna be hard.
This will be this first one. We've been vibing all podcast now, you and me, girl. So this first one gonna get us. So here we
Okay.
go. Popeyes or KFC?
Popeyes.
Okay, we can remain friends. We good. We
Okay.
good. Okay, we good. I love it. I love it. Here we go. Chicken wing flavors: barbecue and lemon pepper.
Oh, barbecue.
You said that kind of reluctantly, like that's neither one of your flavors. You are you
Mine's
a buffalo person?
buffalo. I gotta
Okay,
have
I
a hot
figured.
wing, a spicy wing, or a mango habanero. It has to like kill me.
I get you. I get you. Cause you said it like barbecue. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe you don't really dig those two. Well, listen, I dig buffalo as well. I'm buffalo too, so I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. That's my third favorite sauce, no question. Okay, this next four have to do with music concerts you rather attend. Okay, so here we
Okay.
go.
All right.
Which concert would you rather go to, Brandy or Monica?
Uh, oh man. You said it wasn't gonna be hard.
No, no, I
Actually,
did
no,
not.
you didn't. You did say it was gonna be hard.
Yeah, I
No,
did.
now I'm blaming you for asking the question.
See, you already messing up
Uh,
as a journalist. You're supposed to accurately quote, accurately quote.
I know. No, I just got like, no, I'm frustrated now. It's your fault, Chris.
Right. I totally understand. Okay, but
I
I didn't
think
hear correctly.
Brandy.
You
I
said
think
Brandy or
Brandy.
Monica?
I think Brandy.
Brandy. Okay,
Yeah, I think so. That's hard, but I think Brandy.
it is. It is hard. Now this next one could be a little bit hard. Which um artist would you rather go see in person? Would you rather go see Hozier or Tame Impala?
Oh, probably Tame Impala. I love Hozier, but Tame Impala, I don't know. They've been around they've been there for me more often, I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt. Okay, here we go. Which artist would you rather see in person? Would you rather see Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole?
Oh, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, you said that quick. I like that.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go.
I don't like what J. Cole did by pulling his song. Screw him.
Yeah, listen, he didn't want no smoke. That's just what it was. He wasn't with
Then
the
he shouldn't
smoke.
have said anything.
Well, damn, Megan, you're right. I mean, I can't argue with you on that. You're right. You're right about that. You're right. When you're right, you're right. I feel
Thank
you on
you.
that. Okay. Now, here's the last music one, right?
Okay.
Which artist would you rather see in person? Would you rather see Whitney Houston or Janet Jackson?
Whitney Houston.
Okay, I'm with you
Can't
on
beat
that.
her.
Now,
She was singing with like Pavarotti and stuff like that. You can't beat her.
she was. Now, that's probably the lone one that we have disagreed on because I would
Oh,
say Janet.
really? Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
would say Janet.
Okay.
Now, not to say that we don't like Whitney, and not to say you don't like Janet,
Yeah.
but Janet Jackson puts on a performance. Whitney is definitely the better singer, though. No question.
Yeah.
Better. Okay, here we go. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or football?
Football. I think football. I
Okay,
like
you sure?
both. Yeah, I like both, but I just I don't know. Football's so violent. Sometimes sometimes it's almost like therapeutic.
So you like when they run into each other and be able to tackle each other, hit each other in the mouth like that. I
Yeah,
feel you. I feel you.
I
Listen,
don't know. I just when I see it, I just get so impressed. I'm like, how did he hit that? Well, first of all, how does the physics on that work? And second of all, like, how
right.
do you hit that guy so hard? Like,
Absolutely, absolutely. I tell you, I played football 1 year of my high school career, and I was good. I was good with the hits. I was good. I got 2 concussions that year, so I was
wow.
good with that. Yeah, 'cause I played linebacker. So if I'm going to
Okay.
go, I'm gonna play linebacker. I'm gonna go balls to the wall. I'm gonna hit you. Like
Yeah.
like it means something, right? But I'm more used to basketball. That's my game. That's what I like to play. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Mm, probably badminton. I'm just I can't bowl unless I'm like drunk, which is weird. It's usually the opposite. Like I need to get like a sweet spot inebriated, and I'm like great at it. I'm like I'm the greatest of all time, but then I get sober
Um,
and I look
I'm
dumb,
totally with
like
you
a
there,
kid,
Megan. I'm
right?
totally with you there. No doubt about that. Badminton, I'm pretty good at badminton now. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna let you know. If I'm ever in the Santa Fe area, in that New Mexico area, now I have to show you a little something, something. I'm just telling.
I'm sure you will.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Three more on the this or that. Which sport would you say that you are absolutely dominant in?
Sport? Oh man. I don't know. Gosh, I haven't played too many sports in a long time.
Okay,
I think if cycling counts as a sport, I think I can cycle pretty
I
good.
would say that. I would say that.
Um,
Now, which sport would you say you absolutely suck in?
oh, probably, let's see, probably like baseball, football. I'm not a good I can't aim very good. I don't hit the ball very often. And also football, I don't know, I think I'm a little bit as much as I like to watch football, I'm a little bit of a chicken for football, even like, flag football. I'm like, don't touch me.
I feel you on that.
Don't hurt
Okay.
me. Yeah.
I can totally see you running down, catching the pass. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Okay, here we go. Do you like desserts?
Not as much as I used to, but I think I like them enough.
Okay, okay. So here we go. I'm
Mhm.
gonna throw 4 dessert categories out at you, and you got to choose one of these that you'll never eat again. Okay, so here we go. Ice cream is the first one.
Mhm.
Cookies is the second one. Uh, Cake is the third one.
Mhm.
Okay, and candy is the fourth one. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
Probably candy. I
I'm
eat
with
that
you.
the least. And I like to bake and I like ice cream too. So
I'm with you on that. Red velvet cake is my favorite. Cookies and cream ice cream is my favorite.
nice.
I can't get rid of cookies. Cookies is just too chocolate chip. There's too many good ones out there for sure. I do have a
Absolutely.
bonus one for you, and this is potato chips. Do you have like potato chips?
Oh, I love potato chips.
Okay, so now we got the same format here. Four brands. I'm going to
All right.
throw at you. One of these brands you got to get rid of. You'll never eat again. Okay, so
Okay.
here we go. Pringles is the first one. Ruffles is the second one. Lay's is the third one. And Doritos is the last one. Which one are you getting rid of that you'll never eat again?
That one's kind of tough because I think I like Ruffles better as a chip, but Lay's also makes a lot of the chip flavors that I like not only here but in Mexico. And
Yes.
so I think if I get rid of Lay's and I get rid of like my adobo chips and my like extra hots and stuff, so I guess it would have to be Ruffles.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
That's too bad. I mean, I think
That is too
Ruffles
bad.
are better than Lay's, but like Lay's also makes those adobo chips in Mexico. They're so good.
I feel you on that. Now, see, Ruffles made the greatest chip ever made in my mind, which is sour cream and cheddar. It just
Oh
don't
yeah.
get much better than a Ruffles sour cream and cheddar, especially when you got some buffalo chicken dip. Megan,
Oh yeah.
baby, I'm trying to tell you, it's something different. It's something different. Okay, no doubt about it. Now, are you a sour, not sour cream, but salt and vinegar? Are you a
Oh
salt and
yeah.
vinegar?
I
Okay,
do.
so
I do like it.
that explains it. That explains it. Because that's the
Yeah.
second worst chip ever made.
No way.
Second
Why?
worst chip ever made.
Why? What's
Yes.
wrong with it?
Everything. I mean, I can't. Everything. The way it tastes, the way it looks coming out the can, the way it looks coming out the bag. Everything.
The way it
Uh,
looks. Oh my
yes,
God.
the way it looks coming out the bag. Now, I said second because I'd rather have those than Funyuns. Funyuns is the worst
Oh
chip ever
yeah.
made.
Yeah, I don't they're not that good. They don't taste like
No,
onions.
no, they're just trash with a capital T. No question about that. Let me ask you, if you wasn't doing journalism, and you chose another career path to do, what would be that career path and why?
Oh, I'd probably be a chef. I love to cook. I love the opportunity to like learn about food, where our food comes from. I'd really be down to be like working in like a farm to table, where I know where the meat comes from. I know what farm the vegetables are from. I just think it's so important. We're so disconnected from our food. And I just
Yeah.
love food, and I think it's really a shame that, that number one, we eat so much processed stuff. A lot of these big companies, they kind of have a big hold on a market. And
Mhm.
it alienates a lot of people from like really good food and the opportunity to have really good food. And I also just yeah, I mean, I just love to learn more about it. I love food history. I read about that so much. It's just really fascinating, like our ideas about food and like how we come up with like how certain recipes came to be. There's just so much. Food just means so much to people, and it's also like writing. It's also an expression of the self, I think. And so I think I'd want to learn, professional skills and work in a kitchen like that that's doing like really cool work, getting good food, farm to table, direct local food systems to people.
You've already won my heart. There's no question about it. You said food and you said eating healthy, the vegetables, everything. You know where I'm pulling up to. If I ever come to New Mexico, I'm white paging. Let's just put it like that. There's
For
no
sure.
question about
And I also make a good buffalo chicken dip, so there's that too.
Gosh, oh Lord, it's definite. Signed, sealed, delivered like Stevie Wonder. No question. I love that. I love that though. I probably would have chose theater myself. Uh,
Cool.
I love plays. Love musicals, love plays, love stuff like that for sure. So yeah, that's pretty dope. But chef, I could totally see you doing that too.
Thanks.
What advice has someone gave you? We talked about advice you would give someone, but what advice has someone gave you that you hold on dearly to? It could be life advice, it could be industry advice, it could be any kind of advice.
Um, so there's a couple of things. I think I'll start with industry advice. One of them, I had a really great professor, Howard French. He teaches at Columbia. He's a person of color. And when I got my first job covering race, I was going to Idaho,
Mhm.
and I knew that I might be, really, when they talk about minorities, like really a minority in
Mhm.
Idaho. And so
Right.
I didn't want to, and it was funny because I came to ask him this question, and before I even finished, he knew what I was going to say. I was basically just trying to be like, I don't want people to think that I'm just the Latina doing Latina things. I
Right.
don't want them to think that you know, I'm just one thing. I don't want to be one dimensional. I don't want to be treated like that.
Mhm.
And he said, you know, always, keep your eye, like basically like keep what you want in sight and don't let anyone take it away from you, and keep going and pushing for that. Even if you have to ask directly and you think it might hurt somebody's feelings, like you have to keep saying like, this is what I want. This is what I want. And sometimes you really just have to put your foot down because that will happen. That does happen. He they really wanted to pigeonhole him to cover Africa. And he had already covered Africa. He'd come to the New York Times having covered West Africa already. And then,
Right.
so he really wanted to go to Asia because, that's something, he didn't have a chance to do. He was interested in it. And, so when he didn't want to do Africa, they told him the Caribbean. So they were basically trying to stick him and be like, well, the black guy covering black people. And he's like,
Mhm.
hey, that's great and everything. And that needs to, this is valuable too,
But
but
I'm
that's
much
not what
more than that.
I'm more than that. And
Right.
and I'm not going to just be that for you because that's what you want me to be. I want to. And then he ended up being the bureau chief in like Tokyo or something.
Wow.
So you really have to. So that's number one, especially as a person of color, or a woman or LGBT, especially if you are somebody who's not traditionally visible in news, that might happen to you. And I think just being willing to keep saying, no, this is what I want, and knowing it and believing it and saying, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. Um, that's how you get there, I think. So that's number one.
Okay.
And number two, uh, I really, I used to have a lot of, it's funny because I never had social anxiety when it came to journalism. I'm
Right.
pretty outgoing when it comes to that, but I think in my relationships, like this is many years ago now, but I mean like five, I guess, but I used to be um, I used to be a little bit more like, and it wasn't even that I wasn't outgoing, but I'd come home and then feel bad about like how I acted, even though I didn't act any kind of way. I just would come home and be like, oh, maybe that was embarrassing. Oh, maybe they don't like me. Oh, and so that kind of like was a
Sound
big,
like you're overthinking a little bit.
yeah. And
Okay.
so I had a therapist in New York, and she said to me, she would always say to me, well, what happened before that? When I would say, oh, this happened, and now I'm worried that this person doesn't like me. And she's like,
Mhm.
okay, well, before that, what happened? And then it made me realize that everything has an explanation.
Mhm.
If even if somebody got mad at you,
Right.
it's usually not about you. And you can really learn a lot about a person when you stop and think for a minute, like what happened before, you started having these feelings, what happened before the person got mad or the person reacted weird. And you really can reverse engineer situations and realize that it isn't about you, that life
Right.
and the way people interact with life is based on their perceptions in the same way that it is for anybody. The way you might react to something might be different from me because of your experiences and vice versa.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it really helped me understand that like most of what how people react has nothing to do with you, and you don't need to waste time trying to make people like you, because also if people don't like you and they're going to turn around and talk bad about you, they're not your friends.
You're right.
So I think
The hell with them.
yeah, and I think just
Yeah.
really learning how to not care is so important. To not let people bully you, to not let people hit your insecurities. And if somebody says something about something you're insecure about, let them.
Right.
They don't actually know if you're insecure about that or not. They're just throwing stuff at the wall to like see what makes you upset.
Mm-hmm.
So really learning not to care. I mean, I think overall in getting over social anxiety, much of her advice was basically learning not to care what other
Mm.
people think or how other people react, because you're not responsible for that stuff. And I think
Absolutely.
see a lot of that too in journalism sometimes. And I think, in journalism and younger people, I think because we're so hyper connected and we're so aware of what everyone's doing and saying that people feel self-conscious more
Sure.
because and
Sure.
all their activities online, and I think you just really got to learn to not care. And also, I think just to tie that all together, that I think well, a lot of what people think is like, well, why did they do this to me? The advice being they could do it to anyone. They're not just doing it to you. They're not
Sure.
doing it because they don't like you or because you're not lovable or
For
because there's
special
something wrong with
treatment.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right.
They are not doing it to you. It's not just you. They could do it to anybody. And even if it looks like they're not doing it to other people, they've done it to somebody else. It's not about you. And it's not that, and people always want to go, why did this happen? It doesn't matter because it's not about you and they're not doing it just to you. Even if it doesn't look like it, even if it looks like they're picking on you, they've done it to other people. It's not you. And I think, stopping yourself from having that need to know why someone's acting a certain way really sets you free.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It just takes that lift off your shoulders. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
right.
You focus on the people that focus on you, and you
Mhm.
focus on the positives. You understand the negatives are going to come in this industry, and in life in general. You understand that's just a part of life, but your character is made up of how you deal with those negatives and positive things. The
Right.
bounce back from the negatives of what you receive in life and in this industry. I always tell people that I got a hell of a lot more no's than I ever will get yeses from
Yeah.
jobs and anything. And people understand this in the industry like yourself. They understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
Rejection happens. People say things to try to get a rise out of you. Sometimes you have to be an advocate for yourself. I always question when it's. At first, I used to question when is it appropriate, right? Because when you're in grinded mode and you get that first job, you say yes to everything because you
Right.
want to show that they made the right decision, right? Of picking you. Yes, yes, yes. But then it comes to a point where sometimes your life goals change and they intertwine with your working goals, your occupational goals. And then you start saying, okay, you know what? I think I'll pass on this one. Or you start saying no here, no there. And like, you just kind of get the confidence and build it up as you go along in your career. And I love your advice. Your advice is to not care. Don't care as much, or don't have a sense of not caring about what other people do because their perceptions and their beliefs don't dictate what you do in this industry.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful when people give you compliments on what you do. It's beautiful when people rip your shit up like none it's, it's beautiful both ways, but it's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen in this industry. You have to have a not care type attitude. You say thank you, miss, thank you, sir, regardless of what that is. And I've learned that being in this industry is that everybody is not gonna always be for you.
Hmm.
That's the one thing I definitely had to learn in this industry, and even bosses. Some bosses might not even have your best interests at heart, and it's a damn shame to say that, but it's really true. And that's when you have to be smart enough to make those tough decisions and be like, okay, should I continue this or should I go here? Should I go there? And whatever decision that is, because every situation is situational. So, but yeah, I love what you said on that. We're coming to the end. We got rapid fire now, rapid fire here. So I'm gonna
Okay.
throw some things at you. You just the first thing that comes in your mind. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Burgers or tacos?
Tacos,
Pancakes or waffles?
pancakes,
Meatloaf or spaghetti?
spaghetti.
If you had three songs that you could listen to on repeat and never get tired of listening to, what would those three songs be?
Come and Get Your Love by Redbone. Um, Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush.
Yeah.
Um, and Joy to the World by Three Dog Night.
Wow. Come and get your love. Okay, I like
Yeah.
that. I
That's my
like that.
favorite song.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. If you had three people to take on a vacation, any
Mhm.
three people that you could choose and anywhere you can go in the world, who would those three people be and where would you go?
I think my husband for sure.
Mhm.
My best friend and my cousin Nikki, and probably my mom, and we'd go to Tokyo.
I love that. I
Mhm.
really do. Favorite board game?
Ooh, gosh, it's been a minute since I played board games. I used to do that. I used to have game nights with my friends all the time in Idaho. Let me think real quick.
Yep.
Um, I think I like Sorry. I think I like
Me
Sorry.
too. That's my
Yeah.
favorite game. For sure,
Yeah.
no doubt. Whenever I do go back home and visit mom's, she loves Monopoly, so we have to play a game of Monopoly because she's just huge and to try to beat me in Monopoly. So I just try to play with moms every time I see her for sure. Um,
Right.
Card game.
Card game, probably. Um, I don't know what it's called. There's so many versions, and usually it involves a princess, and you get two cards each,
Okay,
and you have to ask somebody, do they have such and such a card? And if they do, they lose. If they don't, your turn is over, or whatever your card says, I mean, there's different rules with every card. And I really
sure.
wish I knew what it was called because I've seen like 10 different versions of it and they're not called the same thing. So I like
Okay.
that game. And
That
I
that's
also
okay.
like that's the one that I like to play, but I also like Cards Against Humanity.
That's definitely a game that's for adults for sure.
Yeah.
No question. No question about that. Okay. Favorite alcoholic drink?
It's got to be margarita rocks with salt.
Okay. A lot of salt around the rim or a little?
A lot.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like margaritas like that too. Whenever I do a fruity type of drink, it's a margarita. So
Yeah.
with you on that. Okay.
Yeah, I live in the
Fruit,
Southwest, so they're good here.
absolutely, no question about that. Speaking of that, being in the Southwest, would you rather be in New York or would you rather be in San Francisco? If you had the choice to pick to live again, which city would you rather live in?
New York.
Love it. I love
Mhm.
it. Okay. Now, which one would you rather do as far as covering? Would you rather cover like politics or would you rather cover like a different genre, like entertainment, sports, or which one would you rather cover?
I think politics. I
Politics?
think I'm not done with it yet. I think there'll probably be a certain point where I'm done. My husband was a politics reporter for like about 12 years or so.
Oh,
And
wow.
he's an editor now. He's an assistant editor at the paper here in Santa Fe. And and he still, dabbles in the politics, but it does get hard, I mean, he's got a straight
Absolutely.
face through it. But I mean, I think there might be a point where I change my mind, but right now I do like it.
I got you. Okay. And last one of the rapid fire, comedy or horror movies?
Ooh, horror. Love horror movies.
Oh, okay, okay. I like that. I do. This has been a pretty cool conversation, Megan. I believe I've
Yeah.
learned a lot about you, your
And you as
upbringing.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt, no doubt. I love talking, like I said, to other reporters. I always ask this question though, as the final one. Is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
Just that don't lose hope to all the journalists out there. I mean, do what you have to do. If you have to leave, then you got to leave. If you have to take a full-time job and freelance, I feel like there's no wrong answers for our careers. And I think as long as you give it your all and you love it and you're an honest, decent person, there's no shame in whatever you choose to do. So that's just what I want to say to all the folks out there.
Well, again, Megan, it's been a wonderful conversation. I think you're a wonderful woman, and please keep doing your thing up there in Santa Fe and writing those wonderful articles. We will be in touch, and you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. This was an absolute pleasure,
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
no doubt. Take care now.
All right. Bye.